Okay, people, we're going to do a Ruby on Rails tutorial. I'm new to this, so I like to do sometimes is when I've learned something, just go through and try to explain it. It helps me make sure I understand what it was I was doing, if I can recreate it and talk about it as I do it. So I'm assuming you know what Ruby on Rails is. Otherwise, why did you click on this video, right? Okay, so here we go. I'm on Windows 10, so one of the hard things apparently in Ruby and Rails world is getting Ruby and Rails installed on Windows. What I did was there was a website. If you Google it, it used to be Rails installer apparently, but apparently that is not up and running currently. I did Ruby installer, and then from there you can do the command gem install Rails. I did it on one machine, it worked perfectly. Did it on a different machine. This machine, as a matter of fact, it had all kinds of problems. I had to update um, um, the bundler program. If you search Google for bundler, I had to update the gems. I had to run the bundle. A bunch of different stuff, played around with it. Finally, got it going. So let's just see what versions I have. So I'm on Ruby 3.1.2. And so this is how you kind of know if you have it all set up or not, right? So you're just checking the versions. I don't know why that's so slow sometimes, but this is that other thing that I had to do to bundle and get it all running. So there, if you get all this stuff, you pretty much know you got it going. So to start a new Rails app, Rails new, and you put the name of your app. I'm going to make a little meal tracker program. We're going to do a simple CRUD app, basically. So they would say, solve a problem you have in real life when you don't know what kind of project to make. So my kids are always complaining that I make the same meal over and over, or meals. So I had a little calendar I was writing by hand just to say, no, we didn't have taco 2 days ago. It's been over a week since we had tacos. So that's what we're gonna make. We're gonna have a little CRUD app to track when the last time I made tacos was. So we'll call it meal tracker. Okay. So basically Rails command is a lot of stuff in here is going to be start with the command Rails and then what you want to do. So you can see right here, okay, it's still going, but Rails does a lot for you. So you can see all these commands that it's saying it's doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm installing this, we're using this. So if you're coming from Node or something like that where you have to make all kinds of decisions, that's apparently the thing with Rails, and you're going to hear this expression or this phrase is convention over configuration. So with Node and JavaScript, you have to make a lot of choices. In Rails, there's a Rails way. There's a way you have to do it. And so that has its upside and its downsides, right? So the upside is that we're going to get all this CRUD stuff going in record time compared to having to write it all by hand in Express or something. Let's give it another minute here. Sometimes this stuff is pretty slow. Depends. It's downloading some things, right? In addition to installing. If this goes for too much longer, I will stop it and not make you stare at my face and pick it up where we left off, but it shouldn't be too much longer. Looks like it's still going at least and not hanging. There we go. Okay. Okay, so let's do this. It was, what did I call it? Meals or something. So you have to change to the folder that you created. Let's take a look in there. Okay, so all the stuff's there. You can open your code editor. I'm using VS Code. Okay, so here we go. You know what we want to do before we do anything else? You want to see if this thing worked. You can type Rails S. That starts the web server. So if that works, you will get a screen. Let's see. Pull this browser over here. It's going to be on localhost 3000. And if you get a screen that looks like, let's see, is it going to come? Aha. If you get a screen that looks like that, you know that the Rails server is actually going. So far so good, right? So let's go over here. All right. So, you know, what good is this though, right? Okay. That's not gonna help. So we got to start making some pages on our little website here. So to make a page, you're gonna start with well, first of all, I've got the server running here now. So what I'm gonna do is gonna open another terminal, because you know you could stop this server and then do your commands and run it again. But I'm gonna do it this way. Just have two terminals going. All right, so we're in the right place. So we'll do. Checking my notes here. Like I say, I'm just learning this too. We're going to create a page. Oh, okay. Here's my problem. Yes, I'm looking at notes. All right, so the command to start new page is Rails generate. You can type the keyword generate, or you can just do G for short. And then you put the controller name. We're not going to use controller. Yes, we are. Controller, and because it needs a controller. And then home index, okay? Because we're going to start with a home page, basically. So Rails is going to do a bunch of stuff for us. It's going to make routes and stuff like that. All right. Give it a second and let's see what it's going to do. Could not find generator controller. Did I spell it wrong? I spelled it wrong, of course. That doesn't help. Everybody makes mistakes. Give it a second. Let's try that again. This is going to make a page that's at localhost 3000/home/index.html. And we're going to fix that because that's a little redundant. Not redundant, but we don't have to type that whole index.html every time. So you can see that, okay, so this time it worked and it created a controller and it created a root and a view and some tests and all kinds of great stuff, okay? So now if we, like I said, if we go to /home/index.html, there should be something there, or at least not an error, right? Completed. Okay, so there it is. Home dot hashtag or pound index. Find me in app.views.home.index. So it's telling you right here, is telling you where to find it, right? Where are you going to go to change this page? Of note, like I said, usually index.html is like the default, right? And you should say home. You don't have to type the index.html. In this case, the way the routing is set, it's not quite set up that way yet. So we're going to figure that out. By the way, if you, at least in development, if you put something, a route that doesn't exist, it's going to give you just basically a list of all the routes that do exist. Here's a bunch of stuff that we're not going to get into that is already set up, but we don't need to do that right now. So we want to, here's what we want to do. We're going to go where did it say it was, right? It was in the views, app, views, home. So this is the one that was just created for us, right? And if you look, remember it said home, pound index, find me, right? So there it is, right there. So let's just, for example, let's just do this. We'll save that. We should go back here, and it should be changed. See, there you go. Didn't lie. That was the right place. Okay, so let's work on getting this to not have to type the index.html page. So where do we go to do that? We're going to change the root because that path, like I said, we don't like that path. We're going to go to config. Somewhere over here, it's going to be a config folder. There it is. And we're going to go down. We're going to find the roots. And you can see right now, get home index. That's the one that's exists right now. We want to change that. We want to change it to here's what we're going to change it to. We're going to get rid of this too. So let's just get rid of that. We want to change it to the root of the whole app, right? So that's going to be root. Where is it? Sorry, like I said, I'm looking at my notes because I'm just learning this too. Home index. Instead of just get home index, we want it to be root home index, right? Is that what it was before? It was get home index. Let's just see. Get home index. So we want it to be the root. All right, so now we save that and come back over here. This should probably not exist anymore, I guess. It's thinking. See, so that doesn't exist anymore. So, but if we do go to home, that shouldn't exist anymore because we told it that we want to do the root of the thing, of the whole thing is there. So there it is. Okay, so see what we did there? We told it that the root of the whole application is this home. This is the view, home, and then index page. Okay, so that's the whole thing there. All right, so something to note here: these ERBs, like extended Ruby or something like that, or I forget what it stands for, but basically all your Ruby files are going to end in ERB, even though it's really, we're going to be trying to look at HTML, okay? Right, good. View, page source, views. Okay, so here, take a look at this. This is important. If you look at this page source, what is all this, right? We said that this root is just I'm the home page, and that's the only HTML we have in here. Well, where is all this stuff coming from, right? Okay, so that is all coming from, I will show you. It's in views. Oh, it's in the layout application .html ERB. So if you look at this part right here, yield, okay, this is our first look at real like Ruby stuff. See this tag with the caret and the percentage sign and the equal sign? There's two kinds of Ruby tags or templating tags in Rails. I don't know if it's a Ruby tag or if it's a Rails tag, to be honest, but in this sense it doesn't really matter because we're working in Rails. But when you want to have something that's going to actually output some result, you do the one with the equal sign. There's another kind you can do that's more for like logic. If you're doing like loops or things like that, you would just do this, and then you have your whatever your code is, and you end it with this. Okay, so see this subtle difference. This one has the equal sign. no equal sign, it's just doing like logic. If it does have the equal sign, it has an output. So the yield that's the spot in the page where the stuff from our view files is going to go. So again, this is outputting some meta tags, outputting some stuff. So, but if you take a look, it's going to be doc type, head, meal tracker, right? Doc type, head, meal tracker, and then again, so all this stuff is being brought in from somewhere else, okay? So that's where all this is coming from. It's being brought in from somewhere else. But then here's inside the body. Remember over here it says inside the body, all we have is this yield. So that's coming from this view, right? We said this is the home.index, and the view is just this h1, and there it is. There's that h1. So that's the whole thing. This application.html in a layout is basically like a template, I guess, for the whole app. Every view is going to be wrapped in this stuff, this HTML, and the stuff we put in the view files is going to pop in here. So the cool thing about this is we can use this to make like a header and footer that goes on every page. Like if you think about it, most websites you go to, the header and footer is exactly the same, right? So it's a very common pattern. So for instance, if we wanted to put and we'll just try it out, right? Header, I'm the header. Close the header. And on the other side of it, we'll put a footer. I'm the footer. And then we hit save. We go back here. We hit reload. We have a header and a footer, okay? And if we have another view, which we don't yet, we don't have any other routes yet, this header and footer will already be there. And we change it here, it'll change it everywhere. Very nice, very handy kind of pattern, right? So there we are, outputting what's in the yield. Yield is what's in the view file. Excuse me. Every page, so we can use it for header footer, create, very good. Okay, so what I'd like to do at this point, like I said, we're doing on Windows, right? We're doing Ruby on Rails. On Windows, we're doing Rails 7. Most of the tutorials I was looking at were not in 7. It must be at least somewhat recent because I couldn't find a whole lot of tutorials that have 7. So some of the things that I found when I was working on this are a little different than most of the tutorials I was seeing. So, but I do want to add, additionally, I want to add Bootstrap, just because it's super easy. We'll get something that looks nice and have some nice components pretty easily. So we're just going to go to get Bootstrap 5, Bootstrap 5. The other ones, additionally, most of the tutorials I saw had Bootstrap 4 or something. Well, so that was a little different too. So we're in Bootstrap 5, quick start. We're just going to use, you can install it as a package or whatever. We're just going to do it this way, like from a CDN, right? So it says copy, let's just follow the instructions. Copy and paste the style sheet link into your head before all other style sheets. So where are the other style sheets? Obviously, right here is another style. So before all other style sheets. So let's do that. I can put it right here. Okay, so there we have that. We have the style sheet. And then it says we're also going to need the JavaScript because sometimes Bootstrap uses some JavaScript to do some stuff. So we need that too. And where does it tell us to put this? It says... I thought it told me where to put it, including both. I thought when I did this earlier, it told me exactly where it wanted me to put it. Oh, here it goes. At the end of your pages, right before the closing body tag. Okay, right before the closing body tag. I'm going to put that right there. Now, what we should see is when I hit reload, it should give it a different font and a little something else. So we know Bootstrap must be installed because I didn't change any of the text in the view. I just installed Bootstrap and all of a sudden it looks a little different, right? Don't like the way it's all jammed up in the corner, so let's just do a real quick little put this inside of a Bootstrap container div, right? Div class equals container, and we're going to close our div over here and hit save, and this should be now sort of, oh, okay, so I want to put that obviously outside here, not just in front of the yield. We want it inside the header, and we want this probably outside of the footer, right? Let's, if anybody knows how to get prettier and some like code formatting going for this, please, for the love of God, tell me. I couldn't figure it out, and I'm kind of in a rush. So I'm just got so used to prettier and everything formatting for me. Not that I'm dependent on it, but man, you don't realize how used to it you are until you don't have it. So let me know, please, for the love of God, let me know how to get that running if you have it running yourself. So I'm gonna hit save, and we're gonna see what happens here. There we go. That's a little closer to what I had in mind. Okay. Okay, so we got our so we need another page. Okay, so we got this big deal, right? So let's add. What good is a web page if it's only one page? It's in the title, HTML hypertext, right? So hyper meaning it has links to other things, right? So we need to have another page to link to. So let's make another page. So the way you're going to make another page is, well, we did a page before. We did generated a page. Remember Rails, G, controller, home, index, that bit, where we generate a page. But you can do it manually too, and we'll show you that. A page needs to have a couple things, 3 things: the HTML or the view, obviously. It needs to have a controller to tell it what to do, and it needs to have a route. It needs to know where it's going, right, and what the URL that you need to put in is. So we're going to do an about page. So, okay, so here's what we have to do. We're going to go to our views folder, and we're going to make a new view, right? So what do we have in views? We have a home, and we have an index. Oh, so home is the controller, right? Home controller. We're going to use that controller. So it's still going to be in home, but we're going to do an about page, right? So it's going to be about.html.erb because it's Ruby, so we put the Ruby on the end of it. And remember that the view is just going to be really simple, right? So we're just going to be, because it's surrounded by that templating from the application folder file, application file. This one, this application file. Okay, so about, we're just going to do real quick, each one. I'm the about page, and we'll leave it at that for now. Okay, so we have our view. Like I said, it needs 3 things. It needs a view, a controller, and a root. Or a route. Depends on where you're from, I guess, right? So here's the controller. So basically, just going to copy this down and change it. Instead of index, it's going to be about. Now, apparently in here, after you define define this, you would put stuff in here do things with the code or whatever, like things that have to happen. But for now, all we're doing is just, we're just getting it set up. So that's all it takes to do there. So we got the controller, we got the view, and then what I said the third thing is the routes. So where's the routes? The routes are way down here. Okay, so we need to do this, add another route. It's going to be a get command, right? Or a get verb, I guess we call it, right? HTTP verbs. It's going to be get, and we're going to go to home/about. Now, if that is all correct, if we go to /home/about, we should get it. We should get it. Something's going to happen any second now. The server's rebooting. I'm the about page. Look at that. There it went. And now remember, we said because we have that templating in that application.html.erb page, we still have the header and the footer. Like I said, it's going to be on every page. Sure, there's a way to make other templates in your app if you want to do that, but for a simple one like this, that's just the way to go. So what is all this without having links, though? Now we have some place to go. Cool. But let's make some sort of nav bar, right? Before we do that, let's talk about partials, right? Which is like a little component. This header where we're going to put our nav bar is going to get pretty complicated pretty fast, right? So then this is already getting, somewhat long and confusing looking. We want to stick this out in its own file. So we're going to get rid of this header, right? And when you're doing a partial in Ruby, we're still in our home folder here. You're going to make a new file. The partial file name is going to start with the underscore. So you're going to do underscore header.html.erb, and then we're going to put it here. Okay. And then to access it back here, over here, the format is like this. Where is it? It's render, right? I think is what it was. Let's see if I just remember. It's going to be, we were outputting, so it needs to be that. Our render, and it's going to be home. And you don't have to put the underscore because it knows that it's a partial. I think that's all I need to do. Let's find out. See if I remember that correctly. If it is, then this should still say I'm the header. Okay, so that's not right. Render, where are my notes on this? File format, views, home. What did I forget? Header, I'm the header. Render, home, header. Views, home, header. I feel like that should work. Does it really only... I mean, that can't be. It should be single quotes, double quotes. Shouldn't matter. There must be something else going on here. Any clue in the thing? Home about, rendered home, header, HTTP, rendered layouts, processing. I mean, it looks like it's saying, yes, I did it, but it isn't doing it. Did I forget to save something? Maybe I forgot to save the file. I did have it right to begin with. All I did was not save the header file. I hate when that happens. How silly. And then there it is. Duh. Okay. Hey, these things happen. That's a little debugging, right? Everybody has to debug silly things sometimes. So apparently I need practice at that. So why don't we do this? Let's just do the same thing for the footer, right? We're going to get rid of this. Cut it out of here. And we're going to do new file. And remember, partial is going to start with the underscore, ends with the RB because we're in Ruby. Footer. I'm the footer now. Right, so save it this time. That'll help. We will just copy this and then move it down. Let's tab that in there. We should probably tab all this. Right, but it's not home header. This one is home footer. Save it and go here, and it should say I'm the footer now. Okay, cool. So that worked. Check it out. Okay, so the reason we wanted to do these partials, as I said earlier, is because we want to put a whole bunch of stuff in here. We don't want to get this file to get all clogged up. So we want to clog up this header file instead. Not clog up, but you know what I mean? Keep it nice and clean over there. So we're going to go back to Bootstrap, and we're going to get a nav bar from here. So we get a bunch of components from Bootstrap. Component we're going to look for is nav bar. We're just going to go for the very first one. That over here, it looks nice, right? It has a bunch of options. We'll probably get rid of some of these options because they're a little more than we need for what we're going to do. So we're just going to copy this. We're going to get rid of this, copy this, hit save, and let's see what this looks like. There's the nav bar. So what I want to do is, I don't really need this whole search bar. We don't need this disabled link. We don't need this drop down. We're just going to have like our home link, and then a couple links to our about page and a couple other things that when we start building the CRUD part. So I would like to change this color. Instead of being the light, let's make this dark. All right, let's start with that. I think that's a little, I don't know, I like it better that way. So we want to get rid of this one with the search bar, so let's find that in here. This is the form. I think that's all of that. That should disappear. Okay, cool. The next one is this disabled one. We don't need that. And then we don't need the one with the drop down either. So let's do that. And where does it come? All the way from here to the drop down. We'll get rid of that. Hit save. So then this and this should disappear. Okay. I think we're going to go with just this guy, the lighter looking one, because we'll have the, I don't like the, these are both sort of a little bit bolder or lighter. So let's just get rid of this one. We'll have our home, and then our other ones will look like this. So which one was that? So we want to keep this one. This is the one we like. We want to get rid of this one. And where's the text in that guy? Nav bar. So we want to change it to meal tracker. So that should change this to meal tracker. Get rid of this, and then we'll still have this, right? Meal tracker, and it's a link. Right now it's just a link to like back to ourself right here. So we're gonna have to figure out, and what we want it to go to is, right now we're on the about page, but we want it to go to this home page, right? So we gotta figure out how we do links in Rails. Okay, so how you do links in Rails? It's a Ruby tag, and instead of this anchor, it's going to be like this. I'm going to put it underneath because we want to reference this class name in here. So it's a Ruby tag, so it has this format, and this one, this is going to output, so it needs that, right? So link underscore to, okay, and then you put the link text. We want this to be, this is going to be to the about, and then a comma, and then what's the root? Remember I said if we go over here and just type in something that's wrong, it'll give us the roots. Whoops, that didn't, oh, it's because I just put a space. If I type something wrong, it'll tell us which ones are there. So we want the about. It's this, the home about path. that's only going to work in development, right? So another way you can do that is in this one. We have this one. The other one, our other terminal's running the server, and I kept this one open, right? So if you do Rails roots, I think it is. It'll show you what roots you have. Pretty sure. Why is this taking so long? I don't know. Yes, okay, so this is it. All this stuff that we didn't really, I said we weren't going to really need. So the root one is here. Let's just kind of split onto two lines. It's actually, it's this, if you check it out, it's the same information that's here. The whole root path get slash, right? Root path get slash home about get home about, right? So it's the same. So this is what we want. That goes here. Put a comma, and then we can also put attributes, like, so in this case we want this class of navlink. It's a little different format. You do class colon and then nav link. Okay, and that should do it. It's going to be close our little Ruby tag here, and we can get rid of this, and we hit save. And if we go back here, this should be, maybe we have to hit reload. Waiting for cache. What is it? Look it down. Down here, home. It looks like it's going to go home about. Okay, now that worked. This is still not going anywhere, right? So if we go back, we're on the home page, the about links. That works. Great. So let's try another practice on our, this other one. So here's our other one that we want to practice, right? So remember we said it's our Ruby tag with an output, and it's link underscore 2. We have the text that we want to be in there. Oh, right, yeah, so the text that's going to be in there. And then we have the path. Remember we said the path was just this one is hard to read. Let's break this again. Root path. Okay. Root underscore path. And then it is, we do have a class that we want to get up from here. It's class number, so class underscore nav bar dash brand. And then let's close our Ruby tag, and we can get rid of this, and this should work. We'll probably need to reload. So the about one and the meal tracker one, it takes us to the home page. And if you look, when we hover down over here, it shows you what it's linking to, home about, and this one is just going to the home. So, okay, so we're getting there. We're getting there. We have a nav bar. We have templating. Well, not a template. We have like a layout, I should say. That's the word I'm looking for. Cool. Here we go. So what's up next? Taught you how to make pages, how to link to pages. One of the most amazing things about this Rails is how fast you can get a CRUD application going. Really easy. Okay, so let's check that out. We're going to go to our, let's just clear some of this out. Okay, so the command for this, it's a Rails command, right? And it's going to generate, which you can just use G for short for generate. The command is scaffold. All right. The name, basically we're creating a database table, right? Meals, you put it as a plural, okay? There's some convention there. You put it in plural, and then some of the files I'll create will be singular, some will be plural, and it does it. It figures it out for you. For here, you put plural, right? And then you have to tell it what the columns of this database are going to be. The first thing, so all I need on this, remember I said the whole point of this was going to be telling my kids that Taco Tuesday is only once a week, not every day like they seem to complain it is. So all I really need to do is the fields I want is the meal, and you have to tell it what it's going to be. So it's going to be a string, and the date, which is going to be date. And if you Google Rails types, whatever, it'll come right up. It'll tell you all the different things. It's going to be strings and booleans and integers and things like that. So all I need for this is these different things. So we're going to enter, and it's going to take a minute, and it's going to think about it, and it's going to create a whole CRUD app just by doing this. Like, for me, this is kind of mind-blowing, coming from Express, where you're doing this all by hand. And you can take a look here. Warning, meals was recognized as plural, using a singular meal instead. Okay, so I guess I did it wrong. It's you just put meal, and so like I said, it figures stuff out for you. It said, no, Alex, you're not gonna use meals here. We're gonna use meal. Okay, cool, whatever, that's fine. That's the whole point. There's the Rails way, right? Okay. So it looks like there is a way right here. If you want it to be the other way, you can make it be the other way, but that's fine. So again, it tells you a whole bunch of stuff that it made by doing this scaffolding. Importantly, you have this DB migrate in some long number, which I suspect must be a date time or something, because yes, it's 2022 and it's 9/27, and that's not the right time, or it must be a couple hours off of my local time. Okay, whatever. That's not important. It's a date time. Made a bunch of stuff. Made a model, some views and some routes and all kinds of stuff. It just did it all for us. Okay, so now if we go back to the code, we can see a bunch of the stuff it made. Specifically, let's take a look here under database. Under migrate, it made this file. Okay, we don't need to really touch this. You want to do it, but this is what I told it to make. Remember that the meal is a string and the date is the type of date. It made all this for us, so we do have to do something here, an extra step to do a database migration, right? Because if we try to run this right now, it's going to give us an error, because now it's thinking about this database situation, and it's saying, okay, we need to do this run pending migrations. You can just click this and it'll run it, I believe, but you can also do it over here, and it is Rails DB : migrate. I believe clicking this will do the exact same thing as running this command, but we're going to run this command here. Let it do its thing for a moment, and then when it's done, the website should work again. So we'll just give it a minute to do its thing. Looks like it did its thing, and if we hit reload, cool, we're back to going. Now, we don't have access to any of this yet. Well, we do, if manually, it's meals, right? There we go, look at that. So check this out, first of all. This is mind-blowing. So there's no meals here yet, but we can add a new meal. The part that's mind-blowing is that it does all this for you. So tacos, of course. Just because I put date, it put a date picker in here for me. Awesome. Okay, it's Tuesday. How convenient is that? Taco Tuesday. Create a meal. Meal was successfully created. You can edit it. Taco on Tuesday. You can update it. It's all there. It's amazing. Back to meals. So this is going to be the list of all the meals. You could show the individual meal, put back to meals. Let's make another meal just so we can see that that's in fact the list. Some stuff popping up here because I was testing it earlier. So let's make pizza on Wednesday. Now if we go back to meals, now we have two meals. Tacos on Tuesday, meal on pizza, and the dates that we put in. It's pretty amazing that this does that fast, and that's why people love Ruby on Rails, I guess. I've never, as I say, this is new to me. I'm an Express guy, but I, may have converted me. I think I read too many things when I was learning about how Rails was on the way out and Node and Express are the way of future, which is all well and good. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to bash Node and Express, but if you're making a simple app and need to get something happening fast, this is pretty amazing. Okay. Um, I think that's it for now. We can get into changing the views. Um, so this is again, maybe we would make each of these like a little card or something like that, or make it into a table. That's a good point. On the older version of Rails, I was looking at older tutorials. This all comes up as a table. And here it's just coming up as a list. So I suspect this would be easier to make into like a little card than to make a table. They also said in these older versions of Rails that when you did this, I think it was during the database migration part, it injected some or created some CSS that maybe would mess up some of your Bootstrap stuff. That didn't seem to be the case here. So I guess that must be, like I said, most of the things I was looking at were Rails 6 something, and I'm on 7 something. So it didn't seem to be a problem. Oh, so what we do want to add is one more thing before I'm done. Add this to the nav bar, because right now, whatever. So more nav bar practice. So do you remember where the nav bar was? It was over here in app views, and it was in our home header, right? So here's our nav bar. So we just want to take another one of these guys, one of these nav item ones, copy it down, and then it's going to be the meals, and this is going to be the path, home. No, so it's just meals underscore path, I believe. We can check in a minute if that doesn't work. Meals, does that take us there? It does. Look at that. This is all so quick and easy. I think that's enough for now. I've been going for a little while, and I will stop here for now, and we'll drop it right there. I will make more videos on this, and we'll keep going. We'll do some styling, and we'll get into some other stuff. But that's it for now. I hope that is helpful. I hope you find this is amazing, and as I do, I'm kind of blown away. Wish I discovered this earlier or had been convinced to use it earlier, right? Okay, anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope this was helpful.